Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me once again at the table. I'm Thomas Dodderwick. This week I'm bringing you a special edition of At the Table, where we are going to hear from participants who were at Cultivating Eucharistic Amazement, which was the Diocesan Eucharistic Revival event held just last week in Billings. At this event, we had over 700 individuals who came out to hear Dr. Scott Hahn, Archbishop Alexander Semple, Bishop Michael Warfel, Bishop Jeffrey Fleming, and others who gave wonderful reflections on the gifts and graces that come to us through the sacrament of the Eucharist. And so I hope you enjoy the sights and sounds of Cultivating Eucharistic Amazement.
To have this many people here and just excited about their faith, about the Eucharist, it's really encouraging. It does a priest's heart good to see this many people who are that excited about their faith and want to learn more, right? And I think especially like there's, it's been mentioned a few times, there's sort of been a diminishing of faith in the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist. There's nothing better than getting together with a large number of people who believe, right? And that bolsters your faith. And I think that's really incredible for us. To be able to see that as priests. It does our hearts good. So.
The whole embodiment of being able to listen to people speak about Jesus being in the Eucharist, being the Eucharist, being new back to the Catholic Church, and really coming to that understanding and realization of it, and then listening to all of the connections between the New and the Old Testament and the New and the Old Covenants is absolutely amazing and beautiful.
When the speakers got up there and they're specific about the relation between the Eucharist and why it's so important to our real world faith, it's just pretty amazing.
I really appreciated Dr. Scott Hahn putting a human aspect to the stories that we know and connecting the dots in a very relatable manner. He was able to tell us things that we knew, but also connect them in such a way that it felt new and inspiring.
I'm going to be able to explain this to my family, who I have not brought up in the church. And I've got more tools in my tool belt to explain this to them and help them understand what journey I'm going through right now.
Well, from here, I hope that there would be an increase in the devotions to, Eucharistic adoration, benediction, those sorts of things in the parishes. I think, that now that there's a hunger for it, I think there'll be more of a willingness on the part of us priests to instead of trying to scrape together a number of people to be able to put out, expose the Blessed Sacrament, we would have, a large number of people who would, be open to and willing to, spend a holy hour with the Lord. And really that's from a practical perspective, but from a spiritual perspective, I think it could create a really revival here in terms of vocations, in terms of, Bible studies, vocations not only to the priesthood and religious life, but also vocations to holy marriages, healing of marriages, those sorts of things. But statistics will point out that the more that people spend, especially young people, spend time in front of the Blessed Sacrament, the more likelihood there is that they will hear the call of a vocation. And so I'm really hopeful that is sparked by this.
There's a lot going on in, I think, the world in general, that it's very helpful to be attuned to spiritual reality. We see a lot in the news, a lot in the media. It's very heartbreaking at times to see the bad in the world, but I think that's one of the times when we need to cling to the good, and this is one of the goods. So hopefully we can focus our eyes closer to the Eucharist, closer to Christ, and with that, hopefully run the race and win the crown.